Okay, if you're watching this video, there's a chance that you have a 260 backhoe and you're doing an install, or if you're just curious about what it's going to take to install HydrosPlus on an older tractor with a 260 backhoe. So that's what this video is for, and I'm going to walk you through the steps. It's slightly different. The positive news is you don't have to drill and tap one or two holes into the frame. The trade-off to that is the subframe for the 260 backhoe, as you can see, is different. So with this setup, you've got this main piece. Now I don't have all of the pieces because I've mocked this up for the development of HydrosPlus. I didn't get all of the pieces, but what you'll also see here, see that, is you'll have another piece that comes back around and up underneath here. And also, mine is not connected at the front. So to make this easy, you'll probably want to take the two bolts out here. Also take the two bolts out here. And then I'm working with these two bolts here that I'll use to take on and off, so a little bit easier for me because that's the only thing that I have securing this. So when you need to reference this video is the point at which you're going to start measuring for your holes. You can see that I've actually installed HydrosPlus without this subframe as well, so it's already got a hole. But when you get to the point where you're measuring the hole, this is where you need to reference this video. And the first thing that you're going to do is take all of those bolts off, and I just have two here, so I'll pop these off. Pull these, and you can just leave this here or just move it down underneath. So, all right, so at this point what I'm going to do is basically hang the flow divider using the tubes that are provided. So I've got my flow divider here. Make sure I've got a good angle. Yep, looks good. And with this video, as well as the other install video, which happens to be on the same tractor, just use the steering tube, which is the one that connects to the PTO manifold. Oops, I'm at a funny angle here, so I can't really get this thing going. Okay. So hang the one that uses the PTO manifold. There goes the PTO manifold. This goes to the implement, so it comes down and connects to the bottom. Don't use that to hang it because it is variable. And what it's ultimately going to do is kind of pull this around. You're not going to get a good measurement potentially because of that. So we'll get this on here. Top one's a 15/16. This one here is a 13/16. So I'll get this close. And I've got that snug at the top. So I'll connect this loosely. Loosely at first, and then bring them down. I would probably go ahead and not necessarily torque them down, but get them pretty close so that we know some of these measurements are really within millimeters. Now these tubes, again, if you're familiar with the install video, they will move. The 3/8 tubes, the steering tube, and the implement tube, those can be bent. You know, if you get one, and let's say something's different on your tractor, and it's close but not exactly, you can definitely carefully bend these. You can do the same for the 1/2" tube, but it's got a thicker wall because the larger the tube is, you'll need a thicker wall for the same pressure rating. it's really tough, honestly, to bend this tube. But it can be done, but it shouldn't need to be done. So keep that in mind. So we've kind of got this, put this snug enough. So I think you can see where we are. And let me show you, and you know, this doesn't have to be perfect because there will be some movement. As you can see on the, if you watch the other video, there's spacers that we use. And we actually mount this a little closer. So you have to account for this, and basically with the later models, the flow divider is actually mounted a little bit further in. But since we have this additional subframe, that's what we're going to mount this flow divider to. So once you've done that, bring this back up. The bolts started. So you can see that good. You can see that kind of snugged up against this. Now, I have a hole drilled, and this is when I was initially developing it, and I didn't do exactly a great job. But what we need to do from here is get the measurement, basically make a line. So well, I should probably do a better job of it. So as you can see, this hole here, you'll want to make a mark with, you know, either a scribe or a marker. Black is probably not exactly the best one. I can probably see this though, to see where this line is, right? Because these holes, they might be exact. Actually, these aren't exact. I'm going to actually mount for the middle hole, so I'm going to mark where that hole ends up being. So it's more here and not here. Get my bolts. And you may come up with, you know, you may have a better procedure if you're accustomed to doing this on other things. You know, feel free. At the end of the day, what you want to have is a hole that's marked appropriately between, so that we can hit that middle hole. But I say that, you don't have to hit the middle hole. You can hit the top hole, you can hit the bottom hole. It's easy enough. And really this thing's already pretty sturdy, so one hole is gonna be just fine, or one bolt. And that's actually what I sand with the 260. Because it's tucked in behind this frame, really can't go anywhere. Just gonna put one bolt in this one. So, you know, and at this point, what I can tell you, where this particular one's mounted, and your mileage may vary just a bit, you know, I'm feeling like this is about 1/4 of an inch down. So there's 1/4 inch from here. Actually, I want to go ahead and mark. I don't know what it is with mine. I'm going to use this. Mark this line. So this is probably not the best mark. So that's the line at which my hole should be on. Back and I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch to whatever I have here, right? Another thing that I kind of know is it kind of lined up with the top there. So, but I'm going to go, and this doesn't have to be perfect. When we go on center and say, look, this is 2 1/8 on center. I'm going to go 2 3/8 from that line. Okay. So now that I've got that measurement, if I can still, can still see my eye, which probably not going to be able to see it on camera very good, but it's here. I'm going to pull a measurement of 2 3/8 here. Okay. And then I'm going to drill that out. So I'm going to pause the camera here while I get my drill set up. Okay, had a bit of a false start. My kid was coming. So my mark's here. I've got my cutting fluid, and I'm just going to use a step bit. We'll see how this works. It's probably a little bit thicker than you'd want to use a step bit for, but that's what was in my drill already. You need a hole that's at least, I would say 5/16, because that's the size hole that an M8 bolt will go through, but count on this being just a little bit bigger than that, so you'll have a little bit room to work here. So I put a little bit of this, I put a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. So I think we are through. And I'm going to step into because I'm using a step bit, I'll probably come through the other side as well. Let's see. Let's do this. Maybe a little thicker than this bit. Let's see if our bolt fits, and it does. Now at this stage we don't have a lot of wiggle room, but let's just see how close this is. Take you back over to the tractor and get set up here. Okay, we're back at the tractor, and one of the clever ideas my friend Dave Fonda came up with is, and I'm not going to do it right now because it requires taking these back off, because you'll need to do that ultimately, but is to thread this through the back, and if you do, it actually won't come out. You won't ever lose this bolt. Now you may lose the nut, but you won't lose the bolt. So, but for this demonstration, and probably for the first time that you do this, you may put it to the front just to see how close you got. So, and another thing you can do is, see if you can catch it. Let's see how close. Well, that's not very good. Might even be worth putting it through here, and then you can kind of get a sense from here, how close you are. So, was this close enough? We should see. I would say, especially if you're going to use the middle bolt, definitely come from the back side. It'll be easier to reach that nut. If you're coming just for the top one, I think it's easy enough to use the or to thread it potentially this way. All right, there we go. So we're in, and you can see, it's lined up at this point well enough that there's no adjustment, there's no widening of this hole that I need to do, but if we got it, and again, this is going to move a little bit for you, so I think what I would say is to get it right is potentially put your bolt in first, and then tighten these up. while we're here, I think I can do this fast enough to make sense. Let's loosen this guy up. Come on. I'm always trying to be faster, I end up being slower. Alright, so let's loosen this guy. Move this out. Put a bolt through the back, like that. Bring it back here. At this point, since we do have everything lined up, we can go ahead. Let's just do this for fun. Put in our implement tube. Okay. This along. Tight enough. It's pretty tight enough for what we're doing. Since, as you can tell, my tubes aren't painted. These are my prototype tubes. So now you should be able to put this. Push from the back here. Get lined up. Let's go ahead and put the nut on here, just so it doesn't suck back through there. And now get these guys started. Cinch it up. Now we've got our bolt. We do need to hold from the back. There we go. This is 13 millimeter, by the way. Hold itself for you. Get down there and get trapped on me. Come back. Maybe it doesn't want to hold itself. Too bad. Alright, there we go. Cinch it up. This will be a lock nut. And if I hadn't made this ugly hole, this would just be looking so nice. But there it is. Simple enough. Again, you're kind of trading up, drilling and tapping 2 holes for doing a little bit of measuring and lining up this hole. I do like this setup, even though it's going to require you to take this off, and because this subframe really, as you can see, protects this from anything. Now, it's a big chunk of metal. It's probably not going to get hurt by anything, but that's a little extra protection for the flow divider. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. Certainly, as you get into this, if you have any questions, reach out to me at Kevin@HydrosPlus.com.